Here are 6 steps to an effective presentation in the final expense industry that agents are using on our team right now currently to see over $100,000 in sales in their first 12 months as an insurance agent. My name is Mike.
My name's Jalen.
Let's hop into it, guys. So the first step is going to be the approach. Now, this is so important because they always say, the first impression goes a long way, right? So same thing in sales. So when I do face-to-face sales. So when I pull up to your home, Miss Betty, if you're watching me right now, I pull up to your home ready to go. So you're doing face-to-face sales. When you get to that client's home, you want to have your lead and your binder ready to go. Not looking in your car, looking for the lead or your binder. I pull up ready to go because the first step to having a good presentation is the approach. When I'm walking to that door, I do a little, it's like a psychology trick I do. I wave at the door. I'm waving at the house. So if I see you in the people, I know you saw me too. So I'll get out of my car, nice polo, nice dress pants, nice Cole Haan shoes, nice haircut, Okay, so I'm coming to your door, Miss Betty. All right, if you're watching me, and I'm waving at you, and now you see me. Now when I get to that door, Jalen,
What happens?
I get to that. This is where the magic happens. My hand is in my pocket. My other hand, I have the binder, the lead. And when they open the door, so I do, give me guys all the details here today. I do 12 knocks. 1, 2, 3, 12 knocks at the door. And they open the door. I say, hey, Miss Betty. My name is Michael. I'm with Senior Benefits here in Ohio. Show the lead. You requested information about final expense coverage. I am just stopping by to see what you qualify for. Where can we sit? And I'm leading into the home.
And you guys see how he wiped his feet off at the door?
Yeah.
Right? He's assuming that it's okay to come in already.
Yeah.
And they're just like, come on in.
Yeah.
Come get some of Grandma's cookies,
Now, Jalen, I know you were a top producer in the field doing over 200K, $250,000 in sales every single year, but now you do telesales. So what's the approach to telesales?
So the approach is very similar. Just like Mike was saying, everything that he was doing with all the detail that he was having, making sure he has a fresh haircut, right? Approaching the door. He want to make sure that the client feels like they can trust them, right? So for me and for you, if you're doing phone sales, you don't have that luxury to show up at your client's house and say, hey, Miss Betty, I'm here to go over this information that you requested. So over the phone, you literally only have 5 to 7 seconds to build trust and rapport with your client before they decide to keep going with you or hang up on you. So here's my approach. I want to make sure when I call my client, I want to act like her and I or him and I have already spoken before.
Gotcha.
So when I call them, I'm calling like I'm calling my grandmother. Hey, Miss Betty, how are you doing today? I'm doing good, baby. Who is this? I'm so glad you asked. And my name's Jalen. I'm an underwriter for the state of Louisiana. Listen, I was just getting back in contact with you. You filled out one of our forms online regards to our final expense plans. Now, I see you're located out there in New Orleans. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, excellent. Well, Ms. Betty, on this form here, you listed here your date of birth is 10/1/65, and you put here you want your beneficiary to be your spouse, and you also listed that you're currently receiving Social Security. Did I read any of that wrong?
That's a good lead.
That's a good lead.
Real
All that
detailed.
information. Did I read any of that wrong? I'm verifying the information, right? I'm assuming that it's okay to keep going, right? Because remember, the client wants to make sure that they're working with a trusted individual. So the minute that trust is lost, the minute that they're going to hang up on you. So you have to make sure you're always keeping that trust, even throughout your entire presentation, on the phone specifically and at the door. Because if you don't, you're going to get the door shut in your face, or the client's going to hang up on you.
I love that. Now, he gave you guys a pretty big gem there. He buys leads in Louisiana. Oh
Hey, don't
man.
give my state. Don't
Oh
give my
man.
state. Don't give
Okay.
my
All right.
state.
On to the next point. Step number 2, the discovery,
Mm,
aka the fact finding process.
yeah.
This is important because if we can't fact find and figure out why the client wants insurance, when we ask the quotes at the when we show the quotes at the end, it doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. And I always tell agents on our team is like, hey, the minute that you decided to become a life insurance broker, life insurance agent, you have decided to take on the role of an entrepreneur. And what is an entrepreneur's job? An entrepreneur's number one job is to solve problems.
Yeah.
But here's the biggest issue when it comes to the discovery.
Yeah.
A lot of people rush through the discovery, not really fact finding and trying to figure out why the client actually requested the information. And they're trying to offer a solution, but they never figured out the problem. So, Mike, why is the discovery so important, and how do you kind of navigate the discovery?
Of course. So now, like I said, I do face-to-face sales. We're now in your home, Miss Betty. All right. So now, when I go to sit down in the home with the client, I'm looking to sit down in the dining room where the action happens, where they actually make decisions in their home. So now we're at the dining room table. I used to start with a little joke, a little joke on the dining room table.
What's that joke you use?
You doing my joke?
Hey,
you want
man,
my joke? Okay, so when I'm going to go sit down in the chair, I said, "Wow, man, my knees. I'm getting old." And they're like, "Oh, stop it. You're young." And it's the icebreaker.
Yeah, yeah.
They know, okay, I'm a human being.
That's
So
good.
now we're in the home. We made that little joke. Discovery. Here are the questions I'm asking Discovery as an agent. Were you requesting this information for you or for you and someone else?
That's a great question.
That's important because if they're looking for them and their spouse, we want to have both of them there at the same time. If not, it's called a one-legger. Okay? So next question I'm asking is, are you requesting information because you have nothing in place right now? If they have nothing in place, I'm asking them next, what's been stopping you? Jalen, they should be writing this stuff down, right?
I hope so. I hope you guys are taking. You guys are taking
I'm giving
notes.
you guys literally what I say word for word, okay? If you have nothing in place right now, what's been stopping you from taking out coverage on yourself? Have you got any quotes yet? Now they do have insurance. I'm asking them this. Who do you have for coverage right now? What's your monthly premium? And what's your face amount? Now, Jalen, if they have insurance, I get a little excited.
Yeah, you have to.
I get a little
You have to
excited.
get excited because the person who has insurance is the people who value insurance.
Exactly.
So you don't have to sell them on the product.
Yeah.
Like a lot of agents, what I've noticed is that when they get into a home and they get on the phone with a client, the client will tell them, yeah, I already got life insurance taken care of, and they go into defense mode.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys this one hack that has helped me and Mike out tremendously.
Yeah.
If a client tells you that they have insurance, you want to congratulate them. You want to be on their side, right? Because remember, I was telling you guys, trust is the biggest factor. Right. If you go into defense mechanism and you try to box your client like Mike Tyson, it's not going to work out, right? So, hey, Mr. Betty, that's amazing. I'm happy to hear that you already have some insurance. Just like Mike said, when you had requested this information, were you just looking to add on to your policy? Or were you just looking to see what else was out there? Right? This is very, 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 very important when you're going through your discovery.
Now, Jalen, let's say they want to add more coverage. What are your next questions?
Yeah, so if they say they want to add more coverage, I'm simply going to say, okay, excellent. Well, I would definitely love to see what we can do for you today. The biggest thing is making sure we can find you a plan that's affordable and find you something that you can actually get approved and qualified for. Right? Now, Ms. Betty, how long have you been looking to add on to your current policy?
2 years.
You've been looking for the last 2 years.
2
Okay.
years.
If you don't mind me asking, Ms. Betty, what's been the biggest thing holding you back from putting something extra in place?
Finding the right agent.
Finding the right agent. So what I'm hearing is that you've been looking for the last 2 years, but you haven't been able to find somebody that you can trust to help you add on some additional coverage?
Yes, that's correct.
Gotcha. Okay, excellent. Now, Ms. Betty, if I can provide you with a lot of value today and find you something that's affordable and you and I build this relationship, and we can find you something that you can qualify for, would that make you happy?
Absolutely.
Like, can we do business today if we can do all those things for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Now, Ms. Betty, we want to make sure we can find you a plan that we can tailor to specifically fit your needs. Were you looking to just take care of the final expenses, or did you also want to leave some extra money behind?
Ooh, this is getting good.
Yeah.
This is getting real good.
So what are you going to say
Th-
after
th-
after somebody said they just want to take care of the final expenses?
I say awesome. Have you experienced any kind of funerals before in your friends and family?
That's a great question.
Have you experienced any funerals before? So now I'm trying to figure out who passed away recently that may have been triggering this request for them to send in information about getting more coverage.
So you're taking them back to the moment that they
Yes.
experienced that funeral.
Yes.
So you're painting that picture for them.
Yes,
I
some
like
pain
that.
points.
I like that. I like
People
that.
buy our pain points. So
That's good.
So when I ask that question, I'm following up now with this. Who passed away? Did they have a burial cremation? Did they have any coverage? Because if they had coverage, they probably saw how easy it was for everything to pay out smoothly.
Yeah.
They didn't have any coverage, they probably saw how painful it was for everyone to come together to do the whole GoFundMe accounts.
So let's say, for instance, they come to you and say, well, Mike, I did recently experience a funeral, and unfortunately, they did not have anything in place. What questions are you asking there?
If they had no coverage, I'm asking, wow, how did it make you feel? You know, was it easy or was it hard to come out of pocket to pay for that? I know it was hard, but I want to relive that moment, you know? And then how much did it cost for you guys to come out of pocket to pay for everything?
That's good. That's good. One thing you guys can also add it into is make sure you guys are empathizing with your client a little bit. I like to share stories a little bit, right? Because facts tell, but stories actually sell. So for me, I'm actually going to dive into a little bit deeper. I'm sorry to hear about that, Miss Betty. I know you said you recently experienced a funeral. I know you said you had to pay out of pocket for all of that. For most of my clients who've experienced something similar to that, they always tell me the same thing. It was very hard to grieve properly because I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay for the burial expenses out of pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm going to respond back. I'm going to say, I can imagine that's something you're trying to avoid happening for your family.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
They're going to say that's correct.
Yeah.
Right? So you guys want to make sure you're painting the picture, you're empathizing with your client, and you're also sharing stories. So now the client can relate to you and what you've experienced. So now you guys are operating on one accord.
Right.
The discovery is very, 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 very important. Right? Like, what are some trial closes in a discovery that you typically ask?
I figured you would say that. So after we go through, so from the top again, Jalen, the approach.
The approach, yeah.
Now we're in discovery, figuring out are they looking for info for them or there's someone else?
Yep.
They were then asking if they have any coverage right now.
Yep.
Then we go into the funeral questions. Now we're going to the last set of questions in discovery, which is going to be, hey, with you having nothing in place for yourself right now, or hey, if you not having not enough for yourself right now in coverage, if you were to pass away last night, who would take care of your funeral today? So your funeral expenses today.
That's good. So you're getting the beneficiary in a discovery.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Keep going.
Is it Donald? Okay. Donald. Okay. Remember, write this down for you, Donald. Okay. Do you think Donald's on the spot right now financially come out of pocket to pay for this funeral expense for you today? No?
That's good.
Okay. No, okay. So I'm assuming that's the reason why you want to have some coverage today for yourself, so no burden that put upon Donald when you pass away. Okay. How important is this to you?
I guess good question.
And now we're leaning into our third step, which is going to be the belief statement. Jalen, why is the belief statement so important?
Yeah. So the belief statement is very, very important. Remember, I told you guys at the beginning of the conversation that trust is everything with your client on the phone and in the field.
Yeah.
The belief statement allows for you now to share what you believe about life insurance, right? And how it can best assist your client to make the educated decision that they need to make sure that their family's taken care of, right? Write this down if you're taking notes. Your client's belief is either selling you on why they don't need the insurance, or your belief in life insurance is selling them on why they do need some life insurance, right? So for me, I like to make sure I'm transferring my belief to my client after I went through my discovery with them, because now I have an opportunity to share with them how I feel about life insurance and what I've seen work for other people. So here's my belief statement. Hey, Ms. Betty. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to spend some time to work with me and speak to me about some of your major concerns about you and your family. Now, Ms. Betty, for me, I believe that life insurance is one of the best ways to tell your family you love them without you physically being present. Now, the fact that you're on the phone with me today tells me that you're a high valuable person, and it says a lot about your character because you want to make sure your family is well taken care of. I had the opportunity to share my belief with the client now, and now they can take that and we can proceed to the next step.
So now we're in a presentation, Jalen.
Okay.
This is the fourth step, guys. Fourth step. So we're in a presentation now. Now we're both brokers. So we usually in the presentation, we're gonna go over, here are the carriers we're working with right now.
All education. This is all educating your client.
Educational based, yes. So we work with 25 different companies. All of them have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Okay. And then what we have here today is called final expense coverage. All right. And if you want to, even before you even go into that step, me doing face-to-face sales, I do show them my state license.
That's good.
I have a binder with me, so I show them my state license, so they can see that. And then we go into our company page, we show them, hey, here are all the carriers we work with. And they can see it, visualize it. They can see it.
Yeah.
Right?
So for phone sales, it's very similar as well. Now, unfortunately, you can't be there flipping through a binder or whatever. But the biggest thing is that when you're going through your presentation, this is the part where you have the opportunity to take control of the conversation and educate your client, right? So the best way I like to educate my client over the phone is still by asking effective questions, right? I go through, I say, hey, Ms. Betty, do you understand the difference between term life or whole life? Most of your clients will say, yeah, I understand the difference.
But this is after you go over the company pages, right?
Yeah, after I go through the company, after I go over the information about how many carriers we work with, all the different specific companies we work with, I'm going now into educating my client a little bit, right? So when I ask the question, do you know the difference between term or whole life? They're going to respond back and say, yeah, I know the difference. But in all honesty, your clients don't know, right? Probably you guys had an experience where you asked your client the same thing, and they say, yeah, term life it covers you for your whole life, right? And whole life only covers you for a short period of time. No, that's not correct. But I'm going to agree with them. Yeah, absolutely. A term life policy is just short for terminate. At some point in time, your price is going to increase or is going to cancel on you automatically, right? Term is just short for terminate. You can kind of look at this as like a presidential election where every 4 years they have to re-elect, and at the end of the 8 years, they're out of office for good, right? Term is the same thing. And then I go into describing whole life. Now, here's the trick, and here's the key when you're describing whole life. Most of these clients are between the ages of 50 to 85 for final expense. You need to make sure when you're describing whole life, you're making this product seem very personal to them.
Yes.
Right? So how I do it, I say, hey, Ms. Betty, with this whole life policy, it is a permanent life policy. It protects you your entire life. Premiums never change. The benefits never change. A lot of my clients actually like the factor and the feature of it that the cash value actually builds over time. So what does that mean for you, Ms. Betty? That means that if you ever fell short on a bill and you ever need to pull some extra cash out of your policy, you have every right to do so after the first year to make sure that you don't have to go and take a big loan out and you can just borrow from your policy.
That's good.
Now, the last benefit that a lot of my clients like is the terminal illness rider, right? And this terminal illness rider simply states if you have 1 year to 2 years to live, you can pull 75% of the death benefit out early to make sure your family doesn't have to go through that traumatic experience by themselves.
So good.
So let's say you have a $10,000 policy, Ms. Betty. If you had 1 year or 2 years to live, you can pull $7,500 out of your policy early to pay for any to pay for all your final expenses. So your family, your son, John, doesn't have to go through all those traumatic experiences by himself.
That's so good.
Out of these two options, which one sounds the most fitting for your needs? I let them choose.
Yes.
They're going to say, well, Jalen, I really like that whole life policy.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're going to proceed to our next step.
I love that. And real quick before step number 5, for me doing face-to-face is I love to kind of go over the cost of burial and cremation.
That's good.
The presentation. I also like to go over the cost of Social Security, not paying for their whole entire burial, because that's a misconception there. So there's a few things there, so the burial, cremation, the cost of it, how much it may cost them when they pass away, Social Security, saying, hey, are you on a fixed income right now? Do you receive Social Security right now? Do you get that on the 1st or the 3rd? Do you get that in a bank account or a debit card?
Those little green Direct Express cards.
If you're an agent, you know how important it is to know before you go into the quotes, are they getting paid in a bank account or a debit card? Okay. And then also, like I said, just figuring out what the cost of burial and cremation is as well. So now, step 5. We're now going into the close. Jalen, you're probably one of the best closes I've seen in the industry. Tell us about the close.
Yeah, the close is by far, outside of the approach and the discovery, is by far the most important thing. Yeah. And I see a lot of agents not making a lot of money in the business because they don't know how to properly close. Right? If you're taking notes, I want you to write these things down. A very, very bad agent, their close process, they don't ask for the close. They just wait for the client to respond to them, hoping that the client's going to say, hey, let me go ahead with that 25,000 right there, right? And they're like 1 for 10 on presentations. An average agent, they ask for the sale.
Yeah.
They'll say, hey, out of these options, which one do you want to go with? Which one do you want to pay for? Right?
There's no system. There's no process.
There's nothing. But a great agent, you see, we assume the sale.
Yeah.
We don't ask for it. We assume it.
Yeah.
So for my close, this is how I do it. I'll say, hey, Miss Betty, I was able to run a few different options for you. And out of all the carriers in which you qualify for, it looks like Mutual of Omaha, SBLI, and American Amicable are going to be the most comparable in price. But Mutual of Omaha is actually going to give you the best benefits and rates. Okay? They're going to say, okay, excellent. That's perfect. Now, this is what I do right here. Take note of this. Before I show any options or any quotes, I'm always bringing back up everything they share with me in the discovery. Right? So here's how I do it. I'll say, hey, Ms. Betty, so earlier you shared with me, you mentioned that you currently don't have any life insurance in place right now. You've been looking for the last 2 years, and you haven't been able to find an agent that you can trust to help you with this. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay, excellent. Now, you also mentioned that, Lord forbid, if you passed away, your son John wouldn't have enough finances available to handle all your final expense needs. Is that correct? Yes. That's correct. Okay, now you also mentioned that one of your biggest concerns is making sure that your son and your family isn't left with any financial burdens. Is that also correct?
Yes, it is.
That's correct. Okay, perfect. Now, you did also mention, Ms. Betty, that your budget...
You're closing me right now.
Your budget is only about $100 a month, and you're currently receiving Social Security, and you're on a fixed income. And for you, you want to find something that's affordable for the budget. Is that correct? That's correct. All right, excellent. Now, Ms. Betty, based on your qualifications, this is going to be a whole life policy, permanent life coverage, premiums never increase, benefits never decrease. Now, again, you are protected for your whole life, okay? And it does build that cash value that we mentioned, right? And based off of your health qualifications, this is going to be day one coverage.
Ooh. Ooh.
Day one coverage.
Not a waiting period?
No 2-year waiting period.
Colonial pen?
No 2-year waiting periods. Day one coverage. Okay? And you don't have to worry about your premiums increasing or your benefits decreasing. Okay? Now, Ms. Betty, out of all the options, you can do a $30,000 policy for just $106 per month.
For just.
For $25,000, you can do $25,000 for just $85 a month
Only.
And for $20,000,
ooh,
you can do this for only $62.56 per month. Out of these options, which one sounds the most attractive to you?
Whoever talks first loses.
Be silent. Let them respond. Well, Jalen, I really like that $20,000 option for $85 a month. Okay, perfect. Here's the closing question that you asked.
Yes.
Here's the closing question.
Come on. Come on.
Who is going to be your beneficiary?
That's it. That's it. That's it.
They're going to tell you it's going to be my son, John Doe. Okay, excellent. And you go straight into your application and you proceed.
I love that.
I promise you, do not say too much in the close, because if you do, you're going to talk yourself out of the deal and your client is going to start losing trust in you.
Yeah. And Jalen, I love all of that. And just to put some extra details in there, we do want to make sure we're asking the health questions.
Yeah.
So we are asking the health questions at the presentation, figuring out what their health looks like, their medications. We have an app we also use to put in all of their information into it, and it will just spit out literally the best carrier for the client with the quotes.
That's good.
How beautiful is that? So then Jalen goes over the whole closing process with the client. And now like Jalen said, we're now getting the app done. The client has picked a quote. Jalen says when they pick a quote, we're asking who is going to be your beneficiary. I even go a little step further, Jalen. I know I'm being a little bit of a rebel today. I go a little step further. I pull it away from them. Got it. I completely understand you love the $20,000 there. The hard part is next. We got to see if.
It's conditional.
If they approve you. If they approve you, they will mail the policy to your home, and your first payment is next month. Now, Miss Betty, if they don't approve you, I can't do anything about it. He can't do anything about it. We try, and that's about it. Is that okay? Let's just see if they approve you. Who's your beneficiary?
That's really good.
Now we're hopping into the application with the insurance company. We get them approved in about a 10-minute process. They're happy. They're good to go. They got day one coverage. Anything happens in the next 2 or 3 months, God forbid, the full payout will pay out to the client's family at the claim approval. All right. Now we're done. Jalen, are we leaving? Are we done? Like we just hang up? Are we leaving the house? Because the sale is done.
Yeah. You've already got the bank account information. You're good to go. If you do that, I guarantee you, your chance of a chargeback is very high.
So step number 6, Jalen, the cool down. Last thing here, guys.
The cool down.
Go ahead, Jalen.
Yeah. So you guys know how when you get something hot, right? Like I ordered some food the other day and I start eating my food and it was super, super hot. And I start hot. You know how you do. Right? You don't want to do that in the cool down. Like you don't want to do that. It's a cool down for a reason. The reason why your mom and your dad used to tell you, hey, the food is ready, but you got to make sure it cools down a little bit. It's the same thing when it comes to speaking to your clients at the end after you closed them. You have to make sure you make this entire process enjoyable for your client, right? So in the cool down process, you have to make sure after you close the deal, take about an extra 5 to 10 minutes just to sit there, relax, crack some jokes, speak to them about their family, right? And make sure that you're not talking about anything insurance related.
Yeah.
This is all about getting to know your client on a deeper level.
I love that.
right? So if you're in the home, compliment some of the pictures that you've seen as you were walking in.
Yeah.
Compliment their home if you
Yeah.
like their home, right? Ask them what they have going on for the rest of the day,
Yeah.
right? Tell them a little bit more about you. Open up a little bit so they can know who they're actually dealing with.
Yeah.
The cool down process is very, very important. Got anything else you want to add on?
Yeah, so the cool down, here's some things I always do in my cool down is I make sure the client saves my number in their phone, and I may do it with them sometimes.
That's good.
I may need to call them back because whatever reason. So, and a lot of these clients don't answer calls they don't recognize. So you're saving my number in your phone. I'm also texting you your policy information. Hey, you got this company for this much coverage. This is your monthly payment.
That's good.
Sometimes I'm a little wild. I take a picture with the client and I send it to them and make it their contact picture for me in their phone. So when I call them, it's me and them popping up on their phone. How cool is that? All right. And I also leave behind material written down. Hey, this is your company. This is your monthly payment. This is the day you're going to pay for your policy each month. It's like a kind of our company's belief statement. We give some paper form.
Good, good.
It's kind of when you go to the bank, you always leave with something when you get the stuff in the mail down the line. So we leave them with something now before they get their policy here in the next few days, weeks.
That's good, good, good.
All right, and for me, I'm a hugger. I give them a nice hug, Miss Betty. Nice seeing you. It was nice meeting you. If you need anything, let me know. And now we're leaving the house, and you're also ending the phone call with the client. Guys, these are 6 steps to an effective presentation. If you use this right now in your business, you will make over $100,000 in your first year in sales if you have discipline, work ethic, and you're coachable. We're now taking on agents to join our team that have those 3 traits, only those 3 traits, right, Jalen?
Only those 3.
With that being said, like, subscribe to this video. Watch the next videos we're going to post here soon. If you need anything, reach out to us. Jalen, any last comments?
That's it. We'll see you guys at the top.